The drinking was completely out of control. I didn't like who I was. And when you're in ministry and you're in real estate, you can't share secrets.
Hey everybody, I'm here today with Kassia Lueck, leader of the Crossroads Realty team of RE/MAX results in the Alexandria office.
Yeah.
Now, from what I know about Kassia, which is not much, but what I'm going to learn, her story has taken her all over in different parts of the country, and her professional journey is taking her to basically every corner of the real estate industry. And I want to unpack exactly how that story unfolded, what happened, and how she became the leader of a really successful real estate team, and what's going on up in Alex. So let's get started with, where are you from?
I'm originally from Ohio, a suburb of Columbus. And so I lived there until about 1999. And after high school, I just knew I was not brilliant enough to go through college. So I was just going to climb the corporate ladder. And that was my goal. And so I started with a bank at the time was named Bank One, which is now Chase. Okay. And they moved me to Arizona. And that was in 99. That started. And then I've always been in either a banking world or real estate or some form of real estate and fashion.
Okay, well, hold on a second, though. You grew up in Ohio.
I did.
And those people are crazy. Am I about,
with football?
Yeah, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you a Buckeye fan?
Used to be, but I've been gone for so long. It's kind of, everybody would think I was a traitor. It's kind of,
I didn't know that was possible.
It is. Well, maybe not. I don't know. For me, it's not. Okay. But yeah.
When that guy starts a dot in the eye and he's doing the little thing, that's you kind of, okay.
It's legendary.
What is little Kassia in Ohio like? What did you like to do?
I'm very family oriented. There was 4 of us under the age of 5. And so it's always been my siblings. My family still to this day is my life. And it's just really Ohio to me is family. Mm-hmm.
Are they still? Do you
they
still
are
have family
all
there?
Still there. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Yep. Very dysfunctional.
Okay.
But a lot of love.
All right. Mm-hmm. It's got to be every family,
yes,
right?
Right. Yep.
So you wind up not doing college, going and finding yourself in the corporate world, and then down in Arizona.
Yep. So they moved me to close down a department. I was supposed to be there 6 months and ended up being there 12 or 13 years. So life never goes as planned, right?
So it sounds like you didn't do a very good job closing down that department.
No, I did not. I opened up another one and stuck around.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what, mortgage?
Still, yep.
Okay.
Still on the mortgage. And everything from compliance to underwriting, funding. Back then, we didn't even have wire transfers. It was checks and doing doc prep. So it's been kind of nice in my life because at least in a closing, I know what they're signing, right? I know promissory notes, the terminology, how it all works. And
you doing all this on a typewriter, by the way?
No, at that time we actually had computers. But the checks would go into this machine and you had to put in your checks and it was like 3 and you'd have to balance at the end of every night.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had a chisel and a stone.
Yeah, right. Okay. So 12 years doing that. Mm-hmm. Okay. And Arizona, that sounds nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it was different. Yeah. I met my husband there. Okay. He was a mortgage broker.
Got it. And
got pregnant on my very first date. It's part of my whole story. It's really actually it's a fun little fact. It's a big part of my life because 20 years later, here I am.
Sure.
But he was in the mortgage world. So that brought me on the other side because with underwriting, I was on kind of the back end. And then where he was at it was more of learning, the loan processing. And, at the time, this was before the market crashed. And so, it was just interesting to see what he did on the mortgage side with loan officers. And
so you're dating and soon to be raising a young family. Mm-hmm. And that must have been an interesting, I guess, way to develop your relationship with your now husband, which has all worked out.
Yes.
But that's got to have been...
It was a twist.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely not. I have, my son is 20 now, and I just always tell him that, you can have goals, but don't have any plans because your life is never going to go as planned.
And he is proof of that concept,
he is,
right?
Yes, but he's incredible. So.
Okay. Good. Well, so how did you all wind up then coming back to Minnesota? Or are there more stops along the way that I'm missing?
Well, I mean, that's kind of the ballpark of it. And interesting, it's a little bit of information, but I will share because it makes me relatable. But when I met my husband, I was in a really dark place with life. And I've always been a Jesus girl. I took a little bit of a sabbatical for about 5 years and found myself knocked up with my husband. And during that time, the reason why I went out with him was I had a DUI, couldn't drive, and I knew he had money. And so we had met through a mutual friend, and I ended up getting pregnant. Because of that, we signed a prenup. He was like, I'm not giving you all of, all of this. So there is a portion of why I'm telling you this is because of the prenup, if I wasn't entitled to any of his wealth, I wasn't entitled to any of his debts. And so when the market crashed in 2008, it was really interesting because I wasn't part of all of that. And it really, I don't even know where I'm going with all that. I do because of that, I'm in Alexandria now. That's where he is originally from. He lived in Arizona for 25 years. And so because of the market crashing, everything coming to an end. And I know a lot of people in our industry can relate to this. And it was harder on him because that was his life. That was his livelihood. He worked hard for a lot of things. We build multi-million-dollar spec homes. And when the banks quit lending to jumbo loans, that's what we had all of our eggs in, were all of the jumbo loans. And so we had like close to $12 million worth of investments sitting on our plate every day, and how are we going to unload them? We couldn't unload them fast enough.
Right. So I guess the world kind of started to collapse around, not to say that, he or you all were involved in any of the bad banking practices, but it was just the fact that the market just sort of fell out from underneath you nationwide, right? That just kind of collapsed in on itself.
And we couldn't do anything about it.
And you had to pivot, right? You had to adjust. And that adjustment was kind of retreating back to home and just regrouping. Right.
We thought we'd be here for a couple of years.
Okay.
And we've now been in Alexandria for 14 years. So again, life doesn't ever go as planned.
Sure.
No.
We also have the little guy there, right? And being closer to family too.
Yeah. Right. And then in the meantime, we did have another daughter.
Okay.
And so
having help with family and everything
to be
else.
Close.
So was the idea when you came back, you were just going to get into the real estate side?
No, we actually had an investment opportunity with Sprint stores, and we purchased 8 Sprint stores. And so the burn of the residential market was just more than he could handle. And we decided to go a different avenue, and we thought we'd be there, like I said, for a couple of years and then go back. He loves Arizona. He's an avid golfer, and it's him. Yeah. It's who he is.
So is that part of the long-term plan to get back there?
Oh, he looks at the lottery every day to win, and he knows more about Arizona real estate than I probably do Minnesota real estate.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, so as of right now, this is definitely a great place to raise our kids.
Sure.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Alexandria, I would say, hands down, is incredible.
I would agree.
You still go to farmer's market, and you've got a Folgers can there, and you just put your money in. And yeah, it's beautiful during the summer.
What was it that caught you to get your real estate license and sort of take that plunge ultimately?
Yeah, so when we were here, I had always been a stay-at-home mom while we were in Alexandria, just trying to regroup as who we were as a couple, as an individual, lick your wounds, keep moving forward. And so the time was just better for me to be home. And backstory is in 95, I was underwriting for a guy named Todd Holcomb, who owned Granite City Mortgage. And he ended up being my husband's best friend, which is so crazy because I met my husband, 7 years later. And so when in Alexandria, Todd, I said, I just need a place to hang my license. And he said, no drama, and don't blame me if you fail. And I'm like, gosh, this is broker support, right? Like, this is how it really is. But it just fit who I am, and I'm a go-getter. And so that was where I originally started with ERA, and then transferred to RE/MAX in 2020. So,
which was Lakes area at the time with Pat Wheatbush.
Right.
And then you all got to join up and come in the fold with RE/MAX Results.
Yeah,
and that's been a couple of years now.
It was a year in November.
Okay.
It's still a fresh little baby, but loving it.
So in total, how many years have you been doing real estate sales stuff?
Real estate sales since 2016.
Okay.
I got my license.
Okay. When did you decide that you were also going to form a team?
That organically kind of came about in 2001.
And what was the origin of that?
I couldn't do it anymore.
Okay. Just too much business.
Too much business. Yep.
Okay.
So I'm not a numbers person. I'm a units person. I'm volume. I'm not a volume person. I don't care if I am bringing in 6 million or 17 million. I have to know how many units I'm capable of doing.
Yeah.
Well, that's I have to do my job well.
Yeah.
And I also run the women's ministry at my church. And so that's a 18-hour week job at times on top of already my volume. And so I said to my husband, I'm either going to have a catastrophic accident or a stroke, and I need some help. And so that was my assistant. No, actually, I take that back. I had an agent who she was doing my social media for a little bit, and then she got her license, and then I got Ashley, my assistant.
So it was a 3-person team at this time.
For a couple years. Yeah.
Okay. And it's working.
It is. Yes.
Okay. The amount of workload and everything else is balancing out.
It is. Yes. And I love the leverage, and I can't do it without my girls.
Yeah.
So far, it's still girls.
Yeah.
Don't know if any men will ever join us, but we've got we were just saying our team is really, it's original. I mean, we're an incredible group of girls, and we balance each other out, which I think it's the key. Can't have too many of the same people. And I'm creative, and I'm a go-getter, and Maureen, we tell her she's posed and she speaks eloquently, and I'm flippant with words. She pays attention to her words. Ashley's our mom. She's my work wife. And when I'm like, do you really want to be an assistant? She's like, I don't care. I'm like, you're my work wife. And I mean, I can't do it without her.
Yeah.
I mean, she keeps us all on track and organized, and we call my vocabulary Kassiaisms, close, just not quite right. And she can tell what I'm always saying, and that helps. And then we have a social media girl, Crystal, and she's phenomenal.
Give me an example of a Kassiaism.
Your name might be Mike, and I might call you Doug.
Okay.
Like something close. My brain is extremely fast. Like I take 2-minute naps, and that's enough, because I think probably more in 2 minutes than somebody could in 10 minutes.
Okay.
I talk fast, I think fast. And so sometimes I'm on to the next line before I even finish what I'm trying to say.
Well, you're doing great so far.
Yeah. Okay.
No Kassiaisms. I didn't ask you, and you tell me if you feel comfortable saying, like, what was it along your journey, in your faith journey, that ultimately you say you took a little break from it that brought you back to where you are now?
When you make enough mess ups in life, you just decide that path and that road is just unbearable. And it really affected my self-esteem and who I was as a person. And I knew I was better. The drinking was completely out of control. I didn't like who I was. And when you're in ministry and you're in real estate, you can't share secrets. And so I'm just not a good person when I drink. And so that was the biggest thing, was the drinking had to go.
Okay.
I'm an off balance person. Like, I'm married to my job. I love my job. So just that obsessiveness just could be really ugly. And so when I'm with God, that is my center. And I have the peace, and I act like a normal human being, but he's my everything. I mean, he really is my number one, and he has been my whole life, just for 5 years. I thought I was missing something.
Sure.
And I really did, and I wasn't.
Well, we all grow.
Yeah.
We all try different things. Sounds like maybe physically, the way your mind works and everything else pulls you towards whatever that focus is, and then it's helpful to have something that brings you back to to what's more important.
I used to always say that the things that I went through makes me who I am today, and I don't believe that now. I am who I am today because that's how God created me to be, but I had to go through those things to be relatable. And I can relate to almost everybody, right? I mean, I can relate to the drinking. I can relate to, getting pregnant right away. I can relate to marital issues. I can relate to finances. I can relate to Christian, non-Christian, big families, And so if you name it, death, we had a tragic death in our family about 3 years ago that rocked my world. Right when I joined RE/MAX with Pat. That was incredible, a horrible, horrible experience. And so there is nothing in my life that I don't think I've experienced. And so it makes me relatable.
Yeah.
Don't ever think that I am who I am because of it. Sure. But it's a lot of growing.
Yeah. And relatable meaning that you can, you see people as they are, understand, where they are at in their lives, and, empathy and everything else of just being able to understand how other people are.
Well, and that's our business, right? We just happen to sell real estate, but we are, like people say, we are in the people business. And I have to, when we walk into them for selling, there's usually reasons, right? And unfortunately, sometimes it's sad and bad. And, you know, we always laugh about using the slogan, life happens instead of crap happens.
Yeah.
Life happens. I mean, that is our business that we're in. But, you know, someone once said, I wish that I loved I wished that I loved my job as much as you love your job. And I'm like, I know my job really well. I'd put it against anybody. I've done it all, right? That helps to have that. But I love my clients. And when you can love your people, it's what makes you get up every day. And I love my people.
And to a certain extent, what you're doing is you're like a life solutions consultant, right? I mean, because choosing where you live and how you live and that type of thing is a big part of someone's life.
Hence my name of our team, Crossroads Realty.
Well, good. I was going to ask. Okay, so and that name originated from what?
Well, in Arizona, everything are your crossroads. 3rd Avenue and Indy School. What are your crossroads? You know, Scottsdale, Shea, 50th, you know. And so that, and in your life, you're at crossroads. Am I going to sell or am I going to stay? Or am I going to buy a bigger home? Or, you know, are we going to have more babies? What does that look like? And so, and of course, it does go with my God beliefs with the cross, but I don't want to say that's really little of it, but it ties it all together. But whenever I'm with people, they're always deciding where they're going and what they're doing, and they're at crossroads. And I feel like it's my place to help navigate them through that.
That is 100% astute. You're right. That's 100% right. That's okay. That's really cool. I like that. Talk about maybe just a few minutes about Alexandria and what do you see happening in the market up there right now? I mean, we're approaching the summertime. Alexandria being a great community. What does it double in size in the summer? I mean,
we go to about 15,000 to sometimes close to 80, 100,000 people.
Okay,
depending.
So more than doubles.
And those are surrounding areas as well. But as a whole, yeah, it is. It's crazy.
I mean, it doesn't feel at the times I've been there, and I guess I go up there for work more than pleasure, but it doesn't feel kitschy, right? Or am I wrong there?
No, a lot of people don't realize that our county is 3/4 water. That's a lot of water. And so, I mean, if you're going to Walmart and it's a couple miles away, it's taking you 20 minutes to get there because you have to go around all of the lakes. And it is desirable. I mean, when you have that much water, that's a lot of lakeshore to bring a lot of people in.
Yeah.
And our lakes are beautiful. I mean, I love when I get calls from people from this, down here in the cities, and they'll be like, "Where are they clean?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Our lakes are just, they're top notch.
Yeah. Sand bottom. Nice.
Clean. A little too clean, but
yeah.
Yeah, they're really nice.
Good fishing.
If you like to fish.
Okay. So what? And I think that's an important part to, even if they're all great. I mean, understanding from someone there in that location who knows, where they're all good lakes, but where people would want to be, whether it be because of the lake life or how long it takes to get there, right? Someone not from Alex area just walking in there and just deciding to say, "Oh, I'm just going to buy whatever I like." I mean, that strikes me as not a recipe for disaster, but it would be beneficial to have someone who's boots on the ground.
We believe so, yes.
Yeah.
And we do struggle in Alexandria with having agents come outside of the area to do real estate in ours. And it's not even the market and the price, it's the functioning of homes, because a majority of ours are septic and wells. And I don't know that much about condos and, HOAs, and I would never come down here and act like I did. And so we end up doing a lot of business for that, but my seller paid me to hire or to sell their house and whatever I have to do. But it can be frustrating. I feel like, I will say, Alexandria agents are amazing. All Alexandria agents are great about referring out business. Yeah. I don't know if it's reciprocated the same. We do get a lot of people in our area, and it makes it hard because they don't know what, they don't know our counties and, restrictions and stuff. But for the most part, I think we try to play nice with everyone. But it's very obvious.
You can't make people refer you business, but I mean, you can certainly demonstrate, especially like that there are value adds and besides saving someone the drive,
it's not a benefit for somebody to do business in our area when they don't know our area.
Exactly.
Just the same as I would never come here and try to sell.
Yeah.
Here
being we're in the Twin Cities
yes,
as we record
sorry.
this. Right? Thinking back a couple generations ago, like my grandparents, they all bought like a little shack, like a small cabin on a lake lot, and maybe built it themselves. I mean, what's the state now? I mean, are there still cabins out there, in the Alexandria Lakes area? Are they more developed into actual functioning homes with, running water and all the good stuff? Like what does it look like up there?
I don't know if I've ever sold a cabin or even walked through a cabin that did not have running water.
Okay.
So they have all been updated at least to 1970.
Now, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are some seasonal cabins there. Not a whole lot. A lot of those seasonal cabins are still in the family where people will just come up and, but for the most part, you're getting, a lot of them have been either torn down and a $1 million home has been put on the lot. A lot of those lots are $450,000 just for the lot.
Wow.
I mean, it's really hard to get anything under $500,000, depending, and it doesn't even really matter what lake you're on. Our chain is astronomically high, the chain of lakes, if people don't know about those. But for the most part, everything is pretty updated. Or if it's not, you're going to have multiple offers and someone's going to be trying to snag it.
Yeah. Okay. Is Alexandria, the greater Alexandria area, receptive to Airbnbs as invest, if someone's looking at more of an investment type of thing? Is that, are those
It's
happening?
not frowned upon.
Okay.
And there's a lot of people in Alexandria. I mean, there's a lot of investment. There's a lot of money in Alexandria, and those people like to keep it in Alexandria, and they buy those investment properties and keep them for VRBOs. Or like I said, if people have them for their family homes, not everyone's occupying them, so they'll VRBO them out.
Okay. Which is good. I mean, I think that personally think that's good, because there are other areas within the state and other I guess municipalities that are less receptive to the idea of those.
Or county's trying to change it. They don't love them.
Yeah.
They want to know how many days you're renting them out and making sure it's not commercial instead of residential and for those taxes.
An element of that, which is still, I think, we're in the growing pains phase of that new development of the ease in which Airbnb VRBOs have.
It's still new.
Yeah, it's still new.
They're working it out,
and we're seeing how that might shake out.
But that's important for agents to know, right? So like if somebody from outside of Douglas County comes in, and I know that that's going down the pipe, and then they go and sell them, and then their taxes are tripled, that's a really crappy deal that you just got your buyer into.
Right.
Yeah. So you kind of got to know your county.
What do you do when you're not selling real estate?
Well, I've mentioned I am a mom. I grew up loving my family, and I really love the ones that I'm with. I'm an introvert, which is funny because I'm around people all the time, whether it's in the church world or the people world. I don't know if I really am an introvert, but I really like to be by myself. That has kind of been that I don't know. It's like, am I really, or have I just became that? I
mean, like, I feel like maybe I could be the same way. Like, do you think it's just because you need to recharge your batteries because you are around people a lot and you feed off of that, but every once in a while you just need to like go back and.
I love winter, right? Yeah. Like you can stay home and take a break. But I love to read. I would say that's my favorite pastime because I can shut off, right? Like that's my time to quit my brain, my thinking. But I don't really I'm a go-getter. I don't really like to take a whole lot of downtime. If I do, I'm always doing a project.
Like around the house? Or?
Oh yeah, there's always stuff to be doing around a house. Not like I'm not DIYing or anything, but when you're busy and for 9 months out of your life is in complete chaos, it takes you some time to get reorganized and stuff put away. And my kids are transitioning into becoming adults, and they don't need me as much. So there is more free time, but I like to fill the free time with work. So I'm very creative when it comes to my job. And so I'm always constantly trying to be innovative with what we're doing for the new year.
When the kids are off and empty nesting, is there going to be any big change? Like as far as, or are you just going to keep doing what you're doing?
No, I don't know. My husband just bought a Can-Am last week. Those side-by-sides.
Okay.
So that's clearly our new hobby that we just
right.
took on, where we're going to be trail riding,
Okay.
praying that I don't die. I don't know what he's got me into. But he wants to trailer this Can-Am and go trail riding.
Okay. Well, at least you get to do something together.
I know. Yeah. I will say that is a nice thing for all of those people out there that have families. Make sure you still love your spouse when the kids graduate, because they're still there.
Make sure you still love them when they go out and buy a recreational vehicle without telling you.
Yes. That's happened actually
Okay.
before. Mm-hmm.
All right. But what are the kids' plans?
I don't know. Well, my son is going to school in Bemidji. He's a junior and he wants to be an appraiser.
Oh.
And so we're fairly certain that that's the route he's going to go down. And then my daughter is a freshman. And so she's all over the place, from being fashion designer to attorney. Who knows?
Oh, well, I could help her with the fashion part. But yeah,
not the
that's
attorney
not the
part.
No. Freshman in college?
No, high school.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Mm-hmm. As you look back on, let's just say for now, the real estate component, sales component of your career, is there anything that as you look back, and I don't know if you'd say you wish you did differently, but as you sort of observe what you've done and how you've got there, is there anything either that you look back and think, I'm really glad I did that, or I wish I would have done that differently, that stands out to you?
I'm always grateful when I take risks. They suck while I'm going through them, and they hurt, and I cry a lot, and I have to process through it because it's uneasy, but I'm always thankful after I'm done and I do my time in it. But I'm never going to be any better without ever taking any risks. And it's painful. Like it just doesn't ever feel great when I'm doing it. But I've never regretted any of the risks that I've taken of just being vulnerable, putting myself out there, going after something that I typically wouldn't. I'm a hustler. I mean, like I'm a hunter. I'm going to go get it. I have to do it in my own way. Like I was just talking to someone, I'm not going to do for sale by owners. I can't stand it when people say, bitch, pick up the phone. Like, you've got to do what's comfortable, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a go-getter in what is comfortable for me. And so that would be, definitely my advice to any agent. Like, whatever you can passionately do it well.
Yeah.
And try not to do things that you can't do. And so, because I'm not going to call for sale by owners, right? Yeah. I'm not door knocking. I would cry. Like, that is just awful.
Wouldn't work for you.
No, it wouldn't. So I'm not going to even try that. And so, but I looking back, the times I am most proud is when I am going outside of my comfort zone to be better and to be the best agent. And even for my team, I mean, my girls, they're, I don't want to say they're dependent on me, but if there's no me, there's no paychecks. Yeah. And so that pushes me pretty hard, the responsibility that I carry for them, because I don't want to lose what we have.
Forming the team, I imagine, was a risk at the time, right? Making that commitment and everything else.
That's kind of organically fallen into place. And so I'm really, like, when opportunities kind of open, that is there, but more of the risks of putting myself out there on social media. That has been a really hard thing for me to do. Another pet peeve of mine, and I can say it on here, and it's advice, if I will rip off and duplicate somebody else's stuff, never anybody in my area. And that's that's happened to me almost every time in Alexandria from other agents, and it just ticks me off.
Oh, they're copying you.
They do. They copy me all the time.
It's a sincerest form of flattery, though, right?
It is. And it pushes me, right? Like, I can't be stagnant. Yeah. So I like it. That's the stuff like I'm talking about. Like, those agents who are my competitors are always making me elevate, because I'm not from there. I don't have roots there. I don't have a last name. And so if I'm not going to hustle, I'm not going to be anybody. And so my credibility, I hold my hat on my reputation, and I work hard for my clients. Yeah. And so, but it's worth it. So if you do rip off and duplicate somebody, please don't do it in your own neighborhood. Yeah. Do it somewhere else. And there's plenty of ideas out there.
Yeah, but there's a certain element to that which I've noticed. I'm trying to cut down on how much social media I actually consume, but of just there is just a unabashedness of just copying someone else's thing and just doing it again. And not talking about in real estate, but just in like content creators in general. I feel like I've seen the same thing just from a different person, but they're doing the exact same thing, and Like, where's the joy in that? Right? Like, it's, it's not it's somebody, you're just taking someone else's, I don't know.
Yeah.
But but putting yourself out on social media in that way it pushes you outside your comfort zone.
Well, nobody likes to watch themselves, right? Like nobody, I don't know. I even hear actors, right? Like they don't go watch the movies that they produce or that they're in. So that's hard. I mean, it's vulnerable. You're out there and you're like, oh my gosh, my fat's hanging out, or, my hair is wrong. You pick it yourself. You're your biggest person that you're picking against, but it's entertaining.
Yeah.
I mean, the people love it. And we have a thing called Tuesday Toast that every Tuesday we go. It started with breakfast. Now it's lunches. And they look for us in the community. People will be like, we went to like 3 places trying to hunt you down.
Wait. So what do you do? What does Tuesday Toast mean? What does that mean?
So it just started. That was where I was holding our staff meetings. And we would try different restaurants. And so then we were getting out to the different areas. We were tagging them in social media. And it just kind of picked up in our community. And so if it's Tuesday, it doesn't matter which restaurant I'm going or where I'm at. Somebody will stop me at least twice for the day and say, where did you have breakfast? Or where are you guys going today? Or, they're always trying to guess what's next. And we've started to bring in guests in there into our Tuesday Toast. And, right, you want to come next time?
Yes, I do.
Free
I love breakfast.
And, we'll bring in title companies or lenders just to kind of see what's going on, what we can do different as a team to be better, so that when they're getting our files, they're complete, and just everything we can do to sharpen what we're already doing.
But you're supporting local business, and you're calling attention to local business and keeping the money in Alexandria. That's awesome.
Yes, we're big advocates. And Alexandria people are big for that. We're a small town. We need to keep our money there the best we can.
Well, just because you're not from there doesn't mean you're not one of them, right?
I've been there long enough.
You've earned it, right?
Yeah. I'm an Alexandrian.
Okay.
Yeah. But, there's nothing I would regret. You just, my whole motto, and everyone laughs, you just got to do your time. Yeah. And in real estate, you've got to do your time. You've got to do your share of being vulnerable. You've got to do your share of mistakes, the hard knocks. Just do your time.
Yeah.
And when you're crying at night, just do your time. When you're rejected, just do your time. And
don't be afraid to tell your truth. And I want to commend you. I mean, you shared some things today that some people would maybe shy away from, or not be so just open about and just transparent about. And the personal items to you, but they're part of your story. They do, help me understand and get to know you better. Right. And to be able to be willing to share even the mistakes and the path that brought you there is commendable, because it, shows who you are as a person and why you are maybe wired the way you are, and also why that makes you a really good realtor.
I would agree. Yes.
Well, I guess on that note, Kassia, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for asking me. It's been fun.